How's it going, everybody? This is KJames9904 coming at you with another video here. This time I got the 2021-2022 Stanley Cup Playoff predictions post-trade deadline. This is actually being recorded about a week after the trade deadline, just so I could kind of see how things go with the new teams and all the acquisitions, see how everything plays out. It's a lot easier to tell what's going on in the NHL after the trade deadline when you kind of see all the new players come along with the new teams. So without further ado, let's get started here. Alright, so with that, I'm just going to quickly go over how I'm going to do this. So I'm going to start off in the West, go over the Central, the Pacific, and then the two wild cards, and then move over to the East, do the same thing. And then from there, I'm going to kind of take it round by round. So when I introduce the teams as the seeds, I'm going to kind of just briefly say why I think they're going to make that seeding, and then kind of do the same thing when we come to the games, just going to say why I think that team's going to win that team or how I could see it going another way. So yeah, let's start over in the West and the Central. So most likely as a surprise to absolutely nobody, I do have the Colorado Avalanche as the #1 seed in the Central and the #1 seed in the entire Western Conference. They currently are 14 points ahead of the Wild, which are currently set at the #2 spot in the Central Division. I don't think they have many holes. They're a pretty deep team. I think the only problem I would see them going into the playoffs would be their goaltending. I mean, Darcy Kemper has been kind of off and on all year. He's been pretty solid this year overall. I mean, I think that's a lot to do with how good the defense of the Avalanche is. But I mean, their top two lines are obviously really good. Kadri's having an amazing year. I mean, I think he broke his point record like right around the halfway mark. He's probably top 10 in points right now for the entire season. Obviously, Rantanen and McKinnon have been a top tandem in the league for years now, so I don't think it should be a surprise to anybody. I do have the Avalanche at #1. Alright, and looking at the 2 seed in the Central, I think most people can agree it's going to be a race between the Minnesota Wild and the St. Louis Blues. I do have the Minnesota Wild edging out. I think after the trade deadline, they are the most complete team left in the Central. Talbot and Fleury is going to be huge in the playoffs for them. Getting Fleury obviously solidifies their goaltending issues. And their 3 lines are all really deep. I think the Wild are just really good offensively. Can spread the puck. Obviously Kaprizov is a top player in the league, and then their second line with Fiala and the dark horse Calder Boldy, they have very good chemistry. So I do have the Minnesota Wild at the #2 spot. And #3 spot there in the Central, we do have the St. Louis Blues. I don't think this is a surprise to anybody. Maybe some people could say the Predators could make this spot, but I mean, I think the Blues are a little more complete and have an easier schedule coming up. So we're going to give the 3 spot to the Blues. Okay, moving on over to the Pacific Division, #1 seed. Probably a no-brainer here. We're going to have the Calgary Flames. Ever since the All-Star break, they've just kind of taken off and haven't really looked back. They won on that I think they won like 10 or 11 games in a row. Jacob Markstrom is having a career year. I mean, obviously that top line for the Flames is one of the top in the league with Lindholm and Gaudreau, anchoring that line. So yeah, I'm gonna give the #1 seed the Calgary Flames. Probably not a surprise. And for the 2 seed in the Pacific, I think you could probably say this is a toss-up, but I am going to give the Los Angeles Kings the slight edge over the Edmonton Oilers. I think the Kings they're all right. I mean, I don't think either other team in the Pacific except Calgary is really going to do much come playoff time. I mean, obviously Edmonton's got the stars, but their defense and goaltending is just atrocious. So I've got the Kings as the 2 seed, and I'm going to give the Edmonton Oilers the 3 seed. Moving on to the wild card positioning in the Western Conference, I'm going to put the Nashville Predators as your first wild card. This should probably not be a surprise. They're clearly the best team yet I have not listed. They got star power. They're just not the deepest. Forsberg and defenseman Josie are both currently top 25 in the league in points, I do believe. And then for the second wild card seed, we are going to go with the Dallas Stars. Pretty controversial here. There's actually a lot of teams that could definitely push for this spot. I mean, as it sits right now, Vegas actually holds the 2nd seed, but they have 68 games played versus the Stars 64, and they're currently only a point ahead. A lot of other good, decent teams here that can make a push for it. I mean, I think all 4 teams of Vancouver, Winnipeg, Dallas, and Vegas could make a push for it, but just based on how all the teams have been playing lately, I'm going to give the edge to the Dallas Stars, and they've also got those games to make up. So that's going to be your playoff roster in the Western Conference. All right, moving on over to the Eastern Conference, we are going to start off with the Metro Division. I'm going to put the Carolina Hurricanes as the #1 seed. Again, probably not a surprise. I mean, they've been pretty solid all year long. Frederik Andersen has been absolutely lights out for the Canes. #2, I'm going to go ahead and put Pittsburgh Penguins just edging out the Rangers. I mean, I do think that both teams, this is really a toss-up. I can see them going either way. I just think overall Pittsburgh has a more complete team than the Rangers do. I mean, Crosby, I think, missed like the first 10, 12 games of the season, and he's still top 25 of the league in points. Of course, Igor Shesterkin is having, a Vezina season. And you could also say the same about Frederik Andersen as well. So yeah, for the East in the Metropolitan, we're going to go Carolina, Pittsburgh, and the Rangers as your top 3. And last but not least, we got the Atlantic Division over in the Eastern Conference. #1, I'm going to say the Panthers are going to hang on to this top spot. The acquirement of Claude Giroux is going to come in big down the stretch here, last couple of weeks of the season. #2 seed, we're going to go ahead and put the Lightning. I think they're going to stay ahead of the Leafs and take that 2 spot and get home field advantage, or home ice advantage. And then #3, we are going to put the Leafs. And then for the 2 wildcards teams, I'm going to keep it exactly how it is right now. So wildcard 1, I'm going to put the Boston Bruins, and then wildcard 2 is the Washington Capitals. So I actually think the Eastern Conference standings stay exactly the way they are right now. I don't think anybody moves, at least at the time of recording this. It might be uploaded a little bit later, but I do think it's going to stay the same. All right, so with that, we got our seeds and a filled bracket. We can go ahead and get started on these games. So starting off in the West, we got the mighty Avalanche versus the Dallas Stars. I think this is obviously a no-brainer. The Avalanche are going to take this one in 4. Yeah, I mean, the Stars, it's a good story that they made it. Nice season, but the Avs are just too much to handle here. No-brainer. And moving on to my favorite Western Conference first-round matchup, we got the Wild and the Blues. I think the Blues are a good team, but they're just a little bit short, especially after what the Wild did at the trade deadline. So I'm going to go ahead and say the Wild take this one in 6. I just think the tandem of Fleury and Talbot is going to be too much for the Blues, although Husso has come around nice for them. And then just the forwards and defensemen all around is just, in my opinion, so much better for the Wild. Their roster is just so much deeper, and they got more star power as well. So I'm going to head and take the Wild in 6. Okay, and now moving on to our next game here. We got the Flames and the Predators. I think that the Predators are a lot better than people think. I think that they're going to steal a couple of games here, but I'm going to take the Flames to win in 6. The Flames just have all around one of the best rosters in the NHL. But their front line is amazing. Obviously, Jacob Markstrom's having, arguably a Vezina season. I don't think he'd win it ahead of Andersen or Shesterkin, but I'm going to take the Flames in 6. And for our final Western Conference Round 1 matchup, we got the Kings and the Oilers. I'm going to go ahead and take the upset, if you want to call it that here. Take the Oilers in 5. I just think the Kings aren't going to be able to handle Evander Kane, obviously Connor McDavid, and Leon Draisaitl. I just think they're going to be too much, and the Oilers are going to take care of business, despite their poor goaltending. Heading over to the Eastern Conference. First matchup here, we got the Carolina Hurricanes and the Boston Bruins. I think that the Bruins are going to put up a good fight, but I just don't see them taking down the Canes. Swayman's obviously having an excellent season for the Bruins. He's right up there in the top of the league at goals against average and save percentage. But, the Canes are just too much. Frederik Andersen is leading the league in save percentage. Or actually, I think he's second behind Igor Shesterkin. But he is leading, as of recording this video, in goals against average. So, yeah, I just think the Canes are going to be too much for the Bruins here. All right, and here we have my favorite Eastern Conference matchup. We got the Penguins and the Rangers. I think it's going to be a close one, but I am going to take the Penguins in 7. I think that this one actually could go either way. I mean, if Shesterkin takes over, like we've seen goalies do in the past, I think this can go the other way. I just think that the Penguins have a little bit better roster overall. Still great goaltending. Yeah, this is, like I said, one of those ones that can go either way, but I am going to give the slight edge to the Pittsburgh Penguins in this one with the experience. All right, now we got the big bad Florida Panthers taking on the Washington Capitals. I think this one's going to be a quick exit for the Capitals. They're going to take the Panthers in 5 here. I just think that the Panthers are just loaded from top to bottom. I mean, not the greatest goaltending, but I mean the Capitals aren't really the greatest in that department either this season. Yeah, I mean it's going to be. I just don't see Ovechkin winning another cup. I mean he's got the one, but yeah, I mean the Panthers are going to be just way too much here for the Capitals. All right, and last but not least, we got the back-to-back defending champions Tampa Bay Lightning taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs. And sorry, Maple Leafs fans, but I do have the Lightning taking this one in 5. I mean, I once again just think that once playoffs comes around, Vasilevsky's just going to take over. Stamkos is going to show up. I mean, the Maple Leafs have not been able to get out of the first round, and I think it's going to stay that way. I just don't see it happening. Tampa Bay is going to take this one. All right, and moving on to our second round over here in the Western Conference. Good matchup here to start off. We got the Colorado Avalanche and the Minnesota Wild. And believe it or not, I am going to take the Minnesota Wild with the upset in 7 games. So it's the Wild in 7. I think it really comes down to goaltending here. They both got really good rosters, and I just think that Marc-Andre Fleury and Talbot's going to be better down the stretch than Darcy Kemper. And I think that the Avalanche once again are going to meet their kryptonite in Marc-Andre Fleury, and they're going to be exiting in 7 games. I also just love the third line there of Foligno, Greenway, and Eriksson Ek. They really take it to that top line of Rantanen and McKinnon. Kadri has been a really good against the Wild this year as well, but I mean I just don't. I really think that the Avs are going to exit early again. I think they're going to choke. So yeah, Wild in 7. All right, in our second Western Conference matchup here in round 2, we got the Flames and the Oilers. This time I am going to go with the Flames in 6. I think the Oilers are going to be able to steal a couple games just with their star power up front, but their goaltending at the end is going to send them packing. Once again, I've said it before, Markstrom's having arguably a Vezina season, and that top line of the Flames is just too much to handle here. So I think they're going to put up a lot of goals and take it to the Oilers and send them home. All right, our first matchup in the East in round 2 here, we got the Hurricanes and the Penguins. I do think the Penguins are going to be a very tough matchup for the Hurricanes, but ultimately I am going to take the Hurricanes to win it in 7. I think it really comes down to goaltending. I just think Anderson is going to carry the Hurricanes past the Penguins here, despite the more experience. Crosby has been lights out for almost 2 decades now, what it seems like. But yeah, we're going to take the Hurricanes here. All right, and in our last second round matchup, we have the Florida Panthers and the Tampa Bay Lightning. Will the acquirement of Claude Giroux and all the other assets they have acquired at the trade deadline be enough for the Panthers to finally get over the Lightning? No. No, I do not. I think the Lightning are once again going to prove that they are the team in the playoffs and push past the Florida Panthers here in 7 games. I said it before, I think Vasilevsky come playoffs time is going to be ready. And I think the Panthers are going to choke once again. So that I think the 2 top seeds are going to make a second round exit here. So yeah, the Panthers are going to fall a little bit short. And for our Western Conference final, we got the Wild versus the Flames. And with this one, I mean, it's been a good run for the Wild here, but I am going to have the Flames go into the Stanley Cup final in 6 games. I think that 7-game series against the Avalanche is really going to take it all out of them, and the Flames are going to be a pushback with ease. The Wild are a pretty lenient matchup for the Flames. I think the Flames match up really, really well with the Wild here. So sad to see him go, because I really would like to see the Wild win a cup since they don't have one. But I'm going to go ahead and say the Flames are going to take this one in 7. All right, and in the Eastern Conference Final, we're going to have the Canes and the Lightning here. And we got a really good matchup here. 2 of the best goaltenders in the entire NHL going head-to-head. But, I mean, in the end, I'm actually going to take the Lightning. I think, once again, they're going to prove to be that team in the playoffs, like I said in the last 2 rounds. and take it to the Canes in 7 games. I got them winning in 7 games. So it's going to be a Flames versus Lightning Stanley Cup final. And for your 2022 Stanley Cup Finals, we have the Calgary Flames versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. Will this be the 3rd consecutive year that the Tampa Bay Lightning win a Stanley Cup? No, I don't think so. I think the Calgary Flames are going to go ahead and win this one and get their 2nd Stanley Cup. They have been on absolute fire since the All-Star break, pun intended. Yeah, their top line is, I think it's the best in the league. I think that Markstrom is going to play up to the level of Vasilevsky, and that's going to be the difference right there, because I think that the forwards and just the offense overall of Calgary is going to be better than what Tampa Bay has to offer this year. I think they've taken a couple of steps back, but I do think they are still good enough to make it to the finals. So yes, your 2022 Stanley Cup champions are the Calgary Flames in a hard-fought 7 games. So with that, thank you everybody for watching. I will most likely do another video like this when the playoffs are about to start. Maybe compare what my original predictions were to the seeding, because I think the West might not end this way, but I do think the East will be pretty close. I can see a couple teams flipping it around. But yeah, thanks everybody for watching, and have a good one.